Medhat Abbas. Él es el director general del Ministerio de Salud de Gaza. Dr. Abbas, thank you very much for your time. Good morning, and we are very sorry about the situation you are living in Gaza. Welcome to our radio.
You're welcome, sir.
La primera pregunta, Ana, para el doctor Abbas es el ataque de ayer en Jabalía, al norte de Gaza. Ya hay un balance de personas muertas.
Good morning. Our first question is going to be in reference to the attack yesterday at Jabalia, in the north of Gaza. Do you guys already have a number in terms of the amount of death and injured that were the cause because of this attack?
Well, more than 8,700 are already killed, and some 20,000 are wounded. And in fact, the massacres are ongoing along the hour. Since the beginning of this escalation, today our hospitals are in a miserable situation. I mean, if they talk about the biggest hospital of Gaza Strip, which is called Shifa Hospital, it's based in Gaza City. This hospital now is having like more than 50,000 internally displaced persons, and it has like more than 2,000 patients and wounded inside it. In fact, within few hours, the Minister of Health in Gaza have declared that it will stop all the services offered to kidney dialysis departments and intensive care units, operation rooms, because of shortage of fuel. Another hospital, which is already out of service right now, which is the Turkish hospital. This hospital is the only cancer hospital inside Gaza Strip. It's based in Gaza South. Again, some 91 patients are inside this hospital. Now they're without electricity and there's a blackout. The same is applied in another hospital, which is called the Indonesian Hospital in Gaza North. So let me say that patients are lying on the corridors in the emergency rooms, and they are lying on the corridors in front of the operation rooms. And some of those patients were operated upon without anesthesia. The situation is miserable. We have shortage of potable water, medical supplies, medications, and fuel. So without electricity, of course, and many times we have no internet, we have no connection services. So the situation is miserable, and the people at the community level are suffering. Some 1.4 million are already displaced from their homes, going to shelters, to schools which are considered as temporary shelters. But because of the large number, those schools are not able to provide the essential services for those people inside.
Doctor.
So the reason now is a humanitarian disaster without having right now a humanitarian corridor.
Doctor.
We are going to speak about a disaster, unprecedented
Dr. Abbas.
disaster will occur. Yes, sir.
Dr. Abbas, please let me translate very quick, because first of all, we're very sorry about all you're saying. We're watching the pictures, we're watching the videos. Let me translate a little bit and we'll continue. Please stay on the line. Grace, rápidamente, bueno, acabo de dar un anuncio dramático. Dramático. ¿Qué dijo Grace?
Pues Julio, lo que responde es en general las cifras que ha habido desde el inicio de esta nueva incursión: 8.000 civiles muertos, más de 20.000 heridos. Nos dice que los hospitales están en una situación bastante grave. El principal hospital en Gaza tiene más de 50.000 personas desplazadas, albergadas ahí, 2.000 pacientes y heridos que están siendo atendidos. Nos dice que van a parar la atención porque pues el combustible ya no tienen. Nos dice que hay otros hospitales que ya no están prestando servicios. Los pacientes están en los corredores, están siendo operados sin anestesia. Nos señala que la situación es miserable, que no hay agua, que no hay electricidad, que no hay internet y no tienen conexiones. Nos dice que hay 1.4 millones de desplazados yendo a refugios temporales en colegios que no dan abasto, así que están pidiendo un corredor humanitario.
Sí, es dramático lo que está diciendo el doctor. Están al borde de una tragedia, ya no saben qué más hacer, operando sin anestesia. Este hospital va a quedar fuera de servicio muy pronto. Él es el director general del Ministerio de Salud de Gaza, pero es el director general del Hospital Al-Shifa, que es el mayor centro médico de Gaza. Doctor, Ana, pregúntele al doctor, porque cuando vamos a la otra mirada, en Israel dicen, es que ese hospital es refugio y tapadera de Hamás. ¿Eso es o no es cierto?
Speaking about the hospital, what Israel keeps on saying is that underneath this hospital, that the basement is a refugee for Hamas leaders, for Hamas people that are part of the Hamas terrorist group. Do you believe, is this true? Are Hamas attackers being hidden inside the hospitals?
Well, as a physician working in the Palestinian hospitals, in Shifa Hospital, we have 50,000 displaced persons inside. Do you think somebody can hide from 50,000 persons? We have all the international media existing within Shifa Hospital. They are broadcasting their news live from Shifa Hospital. Do you think those people are hiding from those international televisions? That's ridiculous. And by the way, the Red Crescent, the Palestinian Red, the ICRC, and any other organization is most welcome to go to all hospitals inside Gaza Strip to search and pitch anything they want and declare it. But in fact, the Israelis have relied on intelligence, artificial intelligence pictures, which are fake, and this is not the real story. Please let any independent body go to see those hospitals. They are open along the hour, and they will make sure that these hospitals are only allocated to treat patients wounded, and this is the only cause for those hospitals to exist.
Nos dice que es ridículo lo que se señala porque tienen 50.000 desplazados dentro del hospital, como ya nos había dicho, y nos pregunta si creemos que alguien se puede esconder dentro de esa multitud. Todos los medios internacionales tienen el foco en estos hospitales, publicando la información de los heridos y las personas afectadas y que están allí buscando refugio. Entonces nos señala y nos repite que es ridícula esa información, que son noticias falsas y que todas las organizaciones están bienvenidas para ir a mirar qué es lo que está pasando realmente en la franja de Gaza. Los israelíes están usando la inteligencia artificial para publicar fotos que son falsas, que no es la historia real, e invita finalmente a que se vayan a los hospitales y se mire que lo único que se hace ahí es atender a los heridos.
Ana, pero entonces, por favor, pregúntele por qué Israel asegura y se mantiene en que Hamás tiene su centro de operaciones bajo el hospital Al-Shifa.
But why? Why then does Israel keep on saying that Hamas has its center, his operational center, underneath Al-Shifa Hospital? Why would Israel keep on saying this?
I am a doctor. I am a doctor. I'm speaking on behalf of hospitals. You can ask the Israelis this question. It's not to be directed to the victims. It's not to be directed to the doctors working in hospitals. We are treating victims because the houses were annihilated totally while people are inside. Dozens and hundreds of people were killed and are still under the rubble. It is expected that more than 2,000 persons are still under the rubble. Now nobody can able to clear them. And at the same time, almost 4,000 children are killed because of those strikes. So what the hell? These are international crimes. These are crimes committed in front of the international community. And till now, nobody is intending to stop this aggression against the Palestinian children. So if you want to ask somebody about this disaster, go to ask the occupation who is spoiling the lives of all the civilians inside Gaza Strip.
Esa pregunta es para Israel. Ellos son los que tienen que contestar. Él es solo un doctor, él es el director de un hospital que está atendiendo víctimas. Nos dice que esto no tiene sentido. Son 4.000 los niños muertos por estos bombardeos que están teniendo que atender muchos pacientes. De hecho, se esperan 2.000 personas que están en los escombros y afectadas por los recientes bombardeos. Son cientos los muertos por los recientes ataques. Nos dice nos pregunta qué está haciendo la comunidad internacional para parar esta agresión. Eso es lo que realmente les importa a ellos.
Sí, las imágenes que nos llegan de los hospitales pues son dramáticas, y la pregunta es cómo nos puede describir cómo es trabajar en una sala de emergencia de un hospital, por ejemplo del hospital que él dirige, del Al-Shifa, hoy en Gaza.
The images that we have been seeing are, of course, very dramatic. But can you share with us, can you describe how is it working in an emergency room in Al-Shifa Hospital today?
Well, the mass casualties are arriving along the hour. They are lying on the ground, and the doctors are trying to offer life-saving measures. But of course, in few hours, the biggest hospital of Gaza, as I mentioned before, will stop, and all those services will collapse. And this will give rise to the death of hundreds every day of those victims, and of course, let alone 1,000 patients of kidney failure who will lose their kidney dialysis services, and 130 prematures who are now existing in the special care baby units within the incubators of the hospitals, again, will die without electricity. So we are talking about a very miserable situation, and unfortunately, all the assistance arriving to the hospitals are very minimal to a degree that they are not enough to meet any need of those hospitals. And at the same time, the mass casualties are still arriving along the hours. So now, if you go to see my hospital and any other hospital in Gaza Strip, the injured are lying on the ground, unfortunately, in the emergency rooms. And of course, many of the cases that we want to discharge when we finish their services, we cannot do that simply because they lost their homes, so they stay in the hospitals as internally displaced persons.
Pues la situación es bastante dramática, como nos venía comentando, el hospital más grande de Gaza va a parar sus servicios, va a colapsar. Nos dice que pues eso va a llevar a que mueran cientos de personas o cientos de personas cada día. Nos dice que los pacientes que están afectados del riñón también van a dejar de ser atendidos, los prematuros también van a dejar de ser atendidos y eso los va a afectar. Nos dice que seguirán llegando pacientes a medida de que pasen las horas y eso hace la situación mucho más dramática y las personas están en los corredores y hay personas que tienen ahí que no pueden regresar a sus casas porque fueron bombardeadas, así que tienen personas desplazadas también allá adentro.
Hoy hemos conocido cómo se ha abierto el paso de Rafah para permitir que algunos heridos en gazatíes pudieran ser evacuados hacia Egipto. Ellos en su hospital, muchos de los heridos que como nos cuentan no pueden o no van a poder atender, ¿están de alguna forma coordinándose para poder evacuar a muchos de esos heridos que no van a poder ser atendidos para que puedan salir de Gaza?
Today we're learning that the Rafah border is being opened and that some Gazatees are being able to cross. Are you guys in your hospital organizing that the injured that you won't be able to treat gain perhaps priority access or gain access to be able to cross the Rafah border?
Well, I couldn't hear you properly, but if you're asking about those patients that were arriving in a very bad condition to the emergency room, in fact, we prefer which case may have a chance to live, and we work with them, and we leave the other cases who are having massive injuries because we will not be able to help them because of the shortage of time and shortage of supplies and exhausted health professionals. In fact, what we have today is only 30% of the health professionals required to treat this very big and large number of mass casualties arriving to the hospitals along the hour.
Pues nos dice que lo que están haciendo es que los pacientes que ellos creen que tienen posibilidades de sobrevivir, pues los atienden y las personas que están ya en malas condiciones, pues nos dice que no tienen chance de vivir, así que no tienen las condiciones o no tienen los recursos para poder atenderlos, ni el personal humano. Nos dice incluso que tienen o están contando con el 30% de los profesionales que requieren para tratar esta emergencia.
Una pregunta desde Ucrania. ¿Usted puede explicarme, por favor, cómo trabajan los médicos? Porque 30%, pero ¿cuántos médicos hay? ¿Cuántos profesionales, doctores hay para tratar esa cantidad de la gente? ¿Y cómo trabajan ellos en estas condiciones? Si por lo menos tienen tiempo para dormir.
You spoke that you guys have 30% of the doctors needed. Can you share with us the number? How many doctors, how many nurses do you guys have in Al-Shifa right now? And are this people, are you guys even getting time to sleep at this point?
Well, in fact, the number of doctors in Shifa Hospital have been 600 doctors prior to this crisis. Now, we have declared a state of emergency. Even retired surgeons and doctors, nurses, even medical students and nursing students are now joining the hospitals along the hour. But in fact, because of the large numbers attending to the hospitals every minute, so we are not enough to meet the needs. That's why we've asked it many times for the humanitarian corridor to send those wounded outside for treatment in Egypt or Jordan, and to have more medical crews coming from outside to us to create field hospitals in order to assimilate those large numbers of mass casualties. And at the same time, we're appealing all the international community to stop this war at once to save the lives of civilians in Gaza Strip.
Nos dice que antes de comenzar toda esta nueva ofensiva eran 600 doctores en el hospital. Nos dice que ahora se han unido estudiantes de enfermería, de medicina, pero aún así no son suficientes. Por eso están pidiendo que se atiendan desde afuera algunos de estos pacientes porque no dan abasto. Nos dice que no pueden asimilar todo el número de heridos que está llegando y están pidiendo también a la comunidad internacional que paren ya esta guerra.
El primer ministro Netanyahu se ha negado a conceder el cese al fuego, porque según él pues sería la victoria de Hamás. ¿Cómo cree él que pueda ocurrir este cese al fuego, aunque sea humanitario?
Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that a ceasefire would be giving Hamas what they want. It would mean that Hamas win. How do you think that perhaps a ceasefire could happen, even if perhaps it ends up being a humanitarian ceasefire?
I'm not a politician. I'm a doctor, and I'm speaking on behalf of the hospitals. I have nothing to do with politics, but for me, having humanitarian corridor and ceasefire will give the health system a chance to better treat all those wounded and to organize themselves and to get rest for the crews, the health professionals who are very tired. Since the October 7th, they have been working along the hour, 24 hours a day or 7 days a week. The situation is very miserable, and of course any ceasefire or stopping this war will certainly help the health system again get back to semi-normal function as it used to do, because many of the chronic patients cannot access service today. Many of the pregnant women cannot access their normal regular services. It is not safe for patients to move inside the streets. More than half of the primary health care clinics are closed today, with the roads are destroyed. There is no transportation. We have no fuel for the ordinary transportation in Gaza Strip, so the situation is very miserable. I think if there's a ceasefire and we have in fact the fuel inside Gaza with electricity, I think life will become much better for those who are still alive and recovering from the shock of the heavy artillery bombardment and the airstrikes around the hour in Gaza Strip.
Pues él nos dice que no es un político, simplemente un doctor que habla en nombre del hospital, pero para él la solución es un corredor humanitario, un cese al fuego para poder liberar a esos heridos, poder organizarse, poder reclutar a profesionales, porque ya los doctores están muy cansados, están trabajando casi que 24 horas al día desde que comenzó esta nueva incursión. Nos repite que la situación es bastante miserable. Eso los ayudaría a ellos a funcionar mejor, porque pues tienen muchos pacientes a los cuales no pueden atender, mujeres embarazadas que no tienen acceso a atención, entonces ni siquiera pueden moverse en las calles, hay muchas clínicas cerradas, destruidas, no hay transporte, así que por eso él considera que el cese al fuego es necesario para ayudar a esas personas que siguen con vida.
He leído algunos reportes donde dicen que se están quedando sin anestesia y que muchos tratamientos, sobre todo, y operaciones para los heridos se están teniendo que realizar sin anestesia. ¿Eso es cierto?
We have read that you guys are, staying without anesthesia, and that many surgeries are having to be done without anesthesia. Is this true?
Yes. I mentioned that earlier in this interview, that we were forced to do surgery without anesthesia for cases to save their lives, as there were no enough operation rooms to meet all the large numbers of mass casualties arriving along the hour to the hospitals.
Nos dice que sí es cierto que lo había mencionado, que estaban forzados a hacer cirugías sin anestesia para poder salvar la vida de ciertas personas que se encontraban heridas.
Permítame, doctor, una pregunta personal. Como médico, como palestino, ¿qué esperanza le queda a usted?
This is perhaps a more personal question, but as a doctor, as a Palestinian, what hope do you have left?
Could you please repeat the question because of the ambulance siren?
Yes.
I couldn't hear you.
Yes, no worries. As a doctor, as a Palestinian, what hope do you have left?
I hope to get this war stopped right now, to stop killing civilians, to stop killing children, to stop attacking domestic zones, and to stop attacking houses while people are inside without any threats, to stop attacking health facilities, and I hope one day that we have our freedom and our dignity back in Palestine, because the destruction today is involving more than 40% of our houses, with loss of the infrastructure, education facilities, health facilities, worship facilities. Gaza Strip is not a Gaza Strip anymore. It's mainly annihilated, and a lot of efforts has to be exerted to get it reconstructed back and to get life back to those civilians living in their land.
But, Dr. Abbas, what happens if Mr. Netanyahu doesn't stop this? How do you see your future?
What I think as a doctor is the humanitarian international law is to be applied right now, where it states clearly that civilians are to be avoided of any hostilities at any area of the world. The massacre that we have witnessed means that the Israeli occupation is still targeting areas full of civilians, and this is explaining why the large number of victims falling along the hour since the beginning of this escalation. And at the same time, when you look at the numbers of the children who lost their lives and who became orphans in this war, you will understand that there's a full violation of the international humanitarian law and Geneva Convention. That's why they have to stop committing those crimes. And I think those who have killed those children should be brought to justice at once, because without that, they will keep repeating the same crimes at the same time.
Doctor, how's your family?
That's fine.
Do you have time for prayer?
Yeah, we're praying along the hour. I hope peace will prevail one day in our land. I hope.
Dr. Abbas, thank you very much, and we hope you the best. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Pues esa es la otra mirada, la fotografía del director del hospital donde está la mayor tragedia. Él es el director, pueden buscar en el mapa, del hospital Al-Shifa, y es el director general del Ministerio de Salud de Gaza.
Es el hospital más grande de todo Gaza.
¿50.000 personas?
Sí, sí, es un hospital enorme.
50.000 personas refugiadas.
Refugiadas, sí, sí.
Y mientras tanto, ellos haciendo lo que pueden, pues no sé, Grace, pero creo que es el entrevistado más desesperado que hemos oído, ¿no?
Sí, Julio, la situación es bastante dramática. Él dice que su esperanza es que se acabe la guerra ahora, que dejen de matar civiles, que dejen de matar niños, que dejen de atacar zonas domésticas y casas cuando la gente está ahí adentro sin representar ningún tipo de amenaza. Pide que dejen de atacar los centros de salud y los hospitales. Ellos esperan, él tiene la esperanza de tener libertad, la dignidad para el pueblo palestino y que se pare esa destrucción ahora. Nos dice que 40% de Gaza ha sido destruido, la infraestructura, los centros de educación, los centros de salud, que ya la franja de Gaza no es la franja de Gaza, y le preguntaba a Julio qué pasa si no para esto, que cómo ve su futuro, y él cree que como doctor la ley internacional debe aplicarse ahora porque han presenciado crímenes por parte de Israel, cómo atacan civiles, cómo el número de víctimas está aumentando a medida de que pasan las horas, y desde el comienzo de esta escalada son niños los que están perdiendo la vida. Entonces, si se entiende la ley humanitaria y se aplica la ley humanitaria y las convenciones, se debe parar estos crímenes por parte de Israel, y si no se hace nada, pues seguirán cometiéndolos. Le preguntaba a Julio también por su familia, decía que estaba bien y que sacaba tiempo para rezar para que esto termine.
Es la W desde la franja de Gaza, son pocas las comunicaciones. Doctor Mehmet Abbas, director general del Ministerio de Salud de Gaza y director del hospital más grande de la franja, Al-Shifa.